Next, Gordon will now give you an overview of the study. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. And it's a great pleasure to be here this morning. As mentioned, I'm going to present the report, and Arlene was asking for an executive summary. And hopefully I will be able to try and give you the executive summary, because it's a very detailed report. There's lots of information in it. And I think you've all been provided with a little pen drive which has the full report in it. So what I don't cover this morning, you will be able to pick up in due course. I'd also just like to mention it was URS Scott Wilson were the lead in the report, but we were supported by Countryside Consultancy, and Judith Annett is with me today as well, and she put a huge amount of work into the report. If I might just go back in time a little bit before I go forward and with the vision for the plan. You may not recognise this person, but it's actually me standing about 100 yards from here on the 6th of January 1993, almost 20 years ago, when I was involved in the master planning, the very early master plan for the site. And the one thing that day, and it was a very similar day to today, we determined the site of the hotel, and we said it should be here. And it's wonderful to come back all those years later to this hotel on a wet January day, determining that this is the best location. So very fond memories of this area and this project in particular. So this morning what I'd like to do is very quickly run through a report. What I'd like to do is run through the report. It's a very big document. I want to say a little bit about the background, the context of the study, a little bit about the approach, but really focus on the programmes and action plan. And the chairman mentioned that these reports are really only good if they have a good action plan, and I believe that's what we have here. Sorry, it's not going forward. Okay. The chairman also mentioned, and other speakers have mentioned, the need for a partnership approach, and I think very much this study exemplifies that. It was a partnership approach to the study. There was a very active steering group chaired by Waterways Ireland. Again, a wider partnership, and I think that's the secret to future development and the delivery of the action plan. Context. This was a refinement, and we've just heard Tanya tell us about what's happening and what's going on. Obviously, we have worked alongside the various organisations, but also built on the work that had already been done. So Destination Fermanagh has set the context for us, and also the Lakeland and Inland Waterways Strategic Plan. So we have really built and refined those, and that's what I'm going to present this morning. The study on the Erne was one of a series of studies of really what is a super region, recognised by Tourism Ireland, and it's important to see the Erne as part of this Lakeland and Inland Waterways region, this super region. We've been involved in studies from Lough up the Mid-Shannon Lough Ree, North Shannon and the Shannon-Erne Waterway, and finally the Erne system. So. And it's important to join these up. We've done individual studies, but the strength will be when the results and findings of the reports join up together, and I'll say a little bit more about that later on. Study area, largely Fermanagh, but extended out to the west coast of Donegal and down to the Leitrim border. It's a wider area where we did our product review, and then the blue area, the area in the centre, which is the river, lake, canal corridor, the green corridor that flows through the centre of Fermanaghs, where we did our detailed study. And the study was to undertake a recreation and tourism product identification within the Erne system and its hinterland. I'll not spend a lot of time on the methodology, simply to say that again and re-emphasise the fact that we built on a lot of work that had already been done. A lot of policy work and a destination Fermanagh and the Lakelands and Inland Waterways plan for the area as well. So we worked on that. There was a lot of existing survey work. We undertook, again, with local help, some survey work, original work, where we looked at service providers, and we got a lot of feedback from that. And that has helped, and that has all fed into the report. Again, all of the information was captured and presented in a series of maps, and again, I won't spend much time on that. Simply to say that it will help in future development, guiding future development and looking where products can go. And if I highlight the three along the bottom, the landscape sensitivity, the ecological sensitivity, and the built heritage, this is the strength of what makes, these are the components that make the product in Fermanagh so strong. That's the natural built environment that people want to come and see and enjoy. So by recording that and turning it into what we referred to as a vulnerable landscape map, again, this is overlaying these particular characteristics of the area and saying which areas are most sensitive to development and which are least sensitive. This will help guide future development. So it's a piece of work that will endure and will help guide development in the future. And well, we did it for Lower Lough, and we did the same exercise for Upper Lough as well. The vision, you can see it there. Really, I think to summarise it, it says the vision is a must-see and must-do part of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And I think that's the key to it. It's a must-see and must-do part of Northern Ireland. So it's not just saying, but it's taking part. And I think that's really important in the theme when we come to look at the tourism markets. And I suppose the objective of the tourism market is to grow and develop it. And I think key to that is that the region should benefit from being part of the Lakelands and Inland Waterways area, and as a result benefit from Tourism Ireland Limited international marketing activity. So being part of this sort of super region will help develop the product and bring people here. In the market, looking at the market, the best opportunity identified was for sightseers and cultural seekers. And these are people who want to come and be here, yes, but also to take part and experience and understand and meet local people and hear about local issues and local events and activities. So it's very much an engaged group of people that want to come and be part of Fermanagh. And key market target areas are Great Britain, Germany and France. And I guess one of the issues that we looked at was restoring the cruising and angling market, which has obviously suffered in recent years and dropped off. I think the key there again is packaging it with other activities, and cruising isn't just a 1 week, it might just be a short 2-day event or perhaps a 1-day boat hire. So the product needs to develop with all the other activities that are going to be available. Key objectives in our plan. Well, first of all, to link attractions and places of interest in the area, joining places up, putting themes and joining places together. The continued development of Marble Arch, and we've heard about that this morning already. Key, I think, to this is to establish Enniskillen as an activity hub, and I'll say a little bit more about that later on. To improve air access to the area from other parts of Ireland and further afield. To increase the appeal of the area and the numbers of visitors through a coordinated events programme, and we've heard about that, and obviously there's more exciting things to come in 2012. And to support existing and emerging sustainable tourism enterprises. So those were the key objectives that we set for the report. And what I'd like to do now is just run through the 13 programmes that were identified, because this is the action plan. This is the bit of the report that really you need to take ownership of and begin to implement. The first of those is looking at waterway infrastructure. And there's a lot of good infrastructure already in place, but there was room for much more improvement. And I think in discussion with the Council and Waterways Ireland, a range of initiatives were identified. I'll not go through them in detail, but one particular one would be the 24-hour service blocks at moorings, which is something that has evolved in the lower Shannon area, and I think it's essential here that people coming in boats can have access to toilets and showers 24 hours a day, quality with restricted access, quality facilities. So that's something that has emerged from this, and it's one of many initiatives of new infrastructure, rather than the fixed level jetties having floating jetties. So there's a whole range of infrastructure improvements that can be made. And a lot of this emerged from the survey work. So the survey work that we carried out identified some of these. And with each programme, I think it's important that we identified what the action is and who the lead agency would be and who the partners would be. It's very easy to say, let's do that, and not identify it with anybody. So the action plan has an implementer against each one, an owner, if you like, and that's important in delivering the action plan in the longer term. Second programme, water and land activity hubs, and I guess we could actually use the word clusters. We envisaged 3 clusters. One in Upper Lough, one in Enniskillen, and one in Lower Lough. The idea being that you create focal points, publicly accessible focal points that people can go to, basically not booked ahead, but booked in the day, just decide to go and participate in some activity, whether it be land-based or primarily water-based on these particular hubs on the left-hand side. The right-hand side are inland ones where it would be land-based activities. But there are places you can go and you can try something out. There's something there for the specialist, but there's also something there for the family. It's not just one group that's catered for. So these hubs would be clusters of sites marketing themselves together, joining themselves together, and offering the visitor a wide range of challenging and less challenging activities. And Enniskillen is perfectly placed for one of these hubs where the town has the accommodation, it has all the other facilities that we heard about earlier on. It's a place that you can go to and decide, go down and let's try a rowing boat, let's try something fairly simple, or let's try something more challenging. So the idea of these hubs, these focal points, are places that people can go to at short notice and participate in something exciting. And it also ties the public and private sector together, because the private sector can benefit from association around these hubs. And one of the things we have suggested elsewhere and here as well is that there would be units, maybe hire units available, that people can store equipment and run small businesses, even on a seasonal basis from these particular hubs. Third programme is access to the water and air access. And the aim there is increasing and highlighting opportunities for visitors and local people to get onto the water. This is about, not just looking at, but actually making that move to actually participate and do these things. So there's a range of, again, of proposals here. For example, the provision of well-advertised and located dayboat hire, mentioned that taking a boat out for a day rather than having it for a week is something that should be thought about. And indeed, the likes of availability of rowing boats, particularly in around the town, might be something worth considering. So a range of development proposals there, again, with key agencies identified against them. The programme also supports the development of a water landing area for float planes, and obviously there are planning and environmental issues, but I think that's something that needs to not slip off the agenda but be kept on the agenda and looked at. Events programme 4, again, that's been mentioned, and again, I'll not spend a lot of time. Safe to say that events are so important, and we've heard of the benefits of running events earlier on, and the benefit they bring to the area. Historic houses and gardens trails. This is something has been a theme right along the Shannon, the historic sites, and you would be more familiar with them all than I would be, but it's important that they're presented in a joined up way. And so to do that, the key owners and people involved need to get together, look at opening times and see how you can put a trail that draws people along gets to visit these houses, and not just in the Erne area, but in the wider Shannon region. And again, the opportunity there then to develop products at the houses, animation of the houses, and running events as well. So there's a lot that can happen around the historic houses and gardens. How that might be done, one of the options might be a guide, or it might be through a high-tech sat-nav option. So that's something to be thought about. And the same really applies to the natural heritage. Fantastic natural heritage. How best to display it and take advantage of it by joining it up and putting trails together. One of the things I felt we should include was learning holidays. And the one thing about natural heritage is that it's not static, it's a dynamic. And that's something that needs to be thought about. Real-time information about the natural environment. Birds migrate at a particular time of the year. They come to particular locations, but it's not the same date every year. So real-time information to help you, service providers, inform your visitors about what's happening in the natural environment is something that needs to be developed and looked at. So it's a dynamic product, and I understand that the RSPB has already picked this up and put a Heritage Lottery Fund application in to the landscape as a landscape partnership bid. Now, it wasn't successful, but I believe they'll be resubmitting it, and it's looking to invest in visitor management and infrastructure in complementing and integrating with the Geopark programme. So there's things happening, and the RSPB have already picked this up. Christian heritage, again, if you think of the Lough at the northern end, connection here of the sites, joining them up in an interesting way, whether it's by water or by land based. And again, the wider connection to places like Clonmacnoise further down. There's a potential for a Christian heritage trail all the way through this region, and that's something that can be explored. And that's one way of getting people to travel north and come into this area. And again, it requires the key landowners and operators to get together and come up with a plan. The ancient landscapes, people, you have a wonderful heritage here, and it was illustrated in one of the earlier maps, the number of key sites, but not easily understood and sometimes misunderstood by visitors. So it's something that is an opportunity, again, to provide information and guides, and it's something that local people can engage in, tying in local stories, folklore with the history and the past, and that's something that needs again to be developed. And one of the areas, just slightly outside our study area, but the Burren area in County Cavan is one area I think should be connected into this. It's a fascinating area, and one that, tied up with other sites, could provide a wonderful product. So there's a rich mosaic of historic monuments and buildings, and that can be capitalised on. Recreation trails, again, it was mentioned about developing cycling and walking, and I think that's really important. The shorter walking trails needs to be reviewed and developed. Equestrian trails, enhance the service for the existing canoe trail, and we heard earlier about the biking development at Coralie just opened. So a lot happening there, and a lot of opportunity to further develop that. Signage was mentioned, and signage is always mentioned, and everybody has a view on signage, and I think it's something that is needed, but it needs to be carefully coordinated. It needs to be real quality in terms of design, and we should be thinking more of the new technologies, a way of navigating around without necessarily too many signs, because sometimes that can clutter and spoil just as much as it can inform. So there's a whole exercise there looking at signage and information for all these sites and trails and things that we've talked about in the programme. Local food, again, there's a lot happening, and I think this morning I heard a local corned beef product got mentioned, got an award last night, so I just heard that. It was very early in the morning coming down this morning, so I think I picked it up, but it was a local supplier here has won some major award. So again, I know it's been picked up, and it's another one of the programmes that needs to be pursued. Promotion and marketing, well, we've already heard about that, and a lot happening and a lot more needs to be done. I think the key thing is that there needs to be visibility for the area in terms of the wider promotion of Ireland. I think that's important. Visibility of the area, but then visibility of the products within the area. That's what needs to be done. So you attract people to the area and then you tell them about the local products. So it's enhanced visibility of the area and of the products in particular. And finally, tourism and recreation, trading up skills. Again, that was mentioned, and there's ongoing work, and that's hugely important. Customer care is important in every business, more particularly, I think, in tourism, where you're meeting guests and visitors, and it's really important to have the best of both physical provision, but also in terms of people provision. And I think that's something, again, it's been mentioned, and I think it's something that's really, really important to keep the quality there. One of the things I mentioned earlier on is real-time information, but it's about people being really informed about their area, not just about their own product, but about other products, about the history of the area, and that will give the visitors so much better experience if they can hear it from the product provider rather than read it in the book or whatever, get it off the website. Those are important, those will be very important, but the skill of people telling people about their area, their history, the exciting things that you can do, the great walks you can go on, that is essential in delivering this particular program. That's the summary, executive summary. I've kind of raced through it. There's an awful lot more detail. There's a lot more work put into it than maybe I've highlighted here. But I think coming back again to your chairman, your comments earlier on, the action plan. There's 13 actions here, 13 programs, and with the work that's already been done and being done by Destination Fermanagh and the Lakelands and Inland Waterways Initiative, then that together will deliver something very exciting for the future of this area. Thank you very much.